did have some more information in regards to, the situation we spoke about yesterday, which was Ken Kendrick's comments in regards to the stadium and the Diamondbacks not staying there. There were some people very unhappy with us about that clip that we put out there, as if we forced Ken to say the words that came out of his mouth. But those words did, in fact, come out of his mouth. And I don't really think that they were misinterpreted, but at the same time, we all kind of understand. And I think that's the point Jesse and I were trying to drive home yesterday, which is we don't really think the Diamondbacks are going anywhere. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that his comments yesterday meant anything other than the best way I could put this, and I hope my wife's not watching right now, but when you're in a relationship and you're like, there's other girls out there. There are really no other girls out there. You're just saying that because you want some of the power back in the relationship, right?
Yeah, I think, that's a pretty decent analogy, I think.
Look, there's a negotiation strategy that goes into it, and at some point it has to get unveiled. Was it a bummer that it's on the day that you have the first full squad practice? Sure, but it was bound to happen. And for them, they might be really pleased when it did happen.
Yeah. But Derek Hall was on Arizona Sports Today, and he said, I could see why it would become a headline, and it did. And then he went on to explain further that they have no intentions at all of even starting discussions with anybody that would involve the Diamondbacks moving anywhere else. It's just, again, like we spoke about yesterday, the reality of the situation, right? The Diamondbacks do have a lease. When it's up, if they don't feel like the deal is satisfied and that is a facility that they want to continue to, partner with Maricopa County and extend a new lease on, then they'll have to look elsewhere, right? This is a situation, by the way, where I feel like we've Ken got dinged up a lot on this, as Tori would say probably here. And there are a lot of people I don't think that really understood the situation, that think that it's Ken Kendrick asking for, public money or taxes or whatever. It's just a matter of Maricopa County owns Chase Field, right? They are the owner. The Diamondbacks are the tenant. And at the end of the day, Maricopa County does have a responsibility here to uphold that building and to go in and fix things like electrical problems and, problems with the structure itself. And I think that they should have a shared interest here with the D-backs to make that a better facility, right? Do they not hold concerts there that they themselves get the revenue from the concerts for, like Pink and Elton John and Billy Joel and all of this stuff? It's not like the Diamondbacks are the only ones that have an interest in this building being a better building, right? So, I will just say that this is absolutely something that Maricopa County does have a responsibility to kind of offer up. The Diamondbacks have done a lot of improvements themselves out of pocket so far. The sound system, the lights. Right. Derek is very excited about the lights. And when I say that, that's not me talking in third person. That's Derek Hall. We spoke today.
I think you also are pretty excited about the lights. I'm
fucking jazzed about the lights. But Derek Hall specifically, I brought up the sound system to him today, and he was like, wait until you see the lights. He said it in a way that I was let me have it, right? So, and they're holding up, I feel like, their end of the bargain here by making those improvements and paying for them themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the big question here is, are the Diamondbacks being reasonable in trying to secure some public funding in order to assist with these renovations? And, that's a bit of a loaded question depending on, your perspective on how, these situations should work out. But the precedent is that, yes, it is a reasonable ask in that, just a few months ago, the Milwaukee Brewers came to an agreement on extensive stadium renovations where they're receiving $500 million in public funding.
And that's a newer ballpark then.
And that's a slightly Field, right? Newer ballpark. 2001 is when American Family Field originally opened. There's also, there have been a few of these deals that happened recently. The Baltimore Orioles also, just a few months ago, $600 million in public funding that apparently is being released through this deal to them. And from what we've heard, the Diamondbacks are looking at a $400 to $500 million project. Ken said yesterday that they are interested, they are willing to invest hundreds of millions of dollars themselves. So, it looks like, just kind of doing the rough math there, the D-backs are probably looking for somewhere between like, I don't know, 100 million and 200 million, something like that in public funding, which is a lot of money. I don't want to make it sound like $100 million is nothing. But, compared to some of these deals that have been signed recently, put into place recently, that is actually lower than most of them. So, if you're just looking from the perspective of what have these deals looked like in recent history, it is actually a reasonable thing for the Diamondbacks to ask. And so far, it just seems like the county, the municipalities, that be in place here in Arizona have not been, willing to come to the table with that kind of money.
And they're not asking for a brand new stadium either. That's the other thing, too. And
Correct.
you go, well, they're still asking for money, but they're not asking for a new ballpark. And Chase Field kind of isn't the same as a lot of those other ballparks. There's a lot more reverence for a place like Camden Yards. Even Progressive Field a little bit is one of those places that, it's not one of the top 10, but it's still a really great stadium that people in Cleveland love. Chase Field doesn't have that same general ambiance. So they're just saying, look, let's kind of meet in the middle and let's just see if we can make some improvements. It really benefits everybody. And
you cover a team that the ownership gets a lot of reasonable hate at times, right? A lot of reasonable criticism. And like this kind of turned everybody on Kendrick, it felt like, right? It felt like this, this comment, which, again, as much as he wanted to say wasn't a threat, did very much come off as a threat, and seems like it is a threat, is, one of those things that has kind of thrust him into that position of once again being an unliked owner. Is that fair? And especially considering what this team has spent during the offseason and done, is that what happens when you make a comment like this publicly?
I think so. It's like, is it a threat or is it just making it a little bit more obvious? Like there are options out there, like I know for a fact that there was one owner when trying to negotiate a certain stadium situation in the last 25, 30 years, made a phone call to the commissioner at the time. And the phone call was exactly this. Hey, what do you want? I just want to talk to you about Montreal. Oh, okay. What do you want to know? Nothing. Just want to say that we talked about Montreal. And so when they went into negotiations with the city to talk about, the current situation, again, this is all private though, they were able to say, just so you know, I did talk to the commissioner about Montreal. Well, let's figure some things out. Yeah. And that situation ended up working out fine. Now, again, that's private, whereas this whole situation is public.
Right.
But that's just business right there.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's business.
Yeah. And I have to believe that, if the Diamondbacks came out publicly with this information, with whatever you want to call this what appears to be a negotiation tactic, saying the Diamondbacks have other options, it's probably a pretty good indicator that they've already told the county officials this privately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They've already tried that. They've already said privately, like, we have other options that we could go to if you guys don't come to the table with the money that we're asking for. And that apparently didn't work. I mean, that's sort of what I'm led to believe. And so Ken Kendrick went public yesterday and he said publicly, which is obviously a much bigger step to take. He took an enormous hit for it. And understandably so. Diamondbacks fans coming off the World Series, the last thing they want to hear is their owner talking about the team moving to another place, right?
Yeah.
Understand all of that. But yeah, I mean, it looks like a negotiation tactic. And there's certainly a lot of history with teams using negotiation tactics like this. When you're not able to get the stadium funding that you want, you say, well, hey, I bet I can find someone in another state who will give me the funding I want. And it works.
It's why it's so hard to negotiate for buying a car right now, Jesse, because when you go to the car dealership and you try to be like, I'm going to go somewhere else and buy it, they're like, I mean, good luck finding it. Second of all, if you do, it's going to be the same price. So have yourself a good day, sir.
Is this a transition for an ad read?
No, it could be, but it's not.
You guys doing Carfax now?
I mean, no free ad reads. Max is going to
all right, sorry.
He's going to be so mad at you.